Now, if you think the elections were bad for the Democrats at the national level, wait till you get a load of them at the state level. Bloodbath doesn't begin to describe it. So, state capitals across the country will be more Republican, this according to the Associated Press, than at any point since the Roaring '20s when victorious legislators and governors take office next year. The Roaring '20s, what happened after the Roaring '20s? Anybody remember when the Republicans were this strong last time? It probably wasn't a crash or anything. Anyway, Republicans will have full control of at least 29 state legislatures, according to the conference. The party's largest total since 1928. Wait, anybody, hold on now. Anybody remember what happened after 1928? Nah, probably nothing bad will happen. Okay, the GOP will hold at least 32 governorships, including newly won offices in traditionally Democratic Illinois, Maryland, and Massachusetts. Continue to explain that nowhere in the entire nation did Democrats take over a legislative chamber previously held by Republicans. And Pennsylvania Governor Tom Corbett was the only Republican chief executive to fall to a Democratic challenger. If it wasn't for Tom Corbett, it would have been an unprecedented, clean sweep. Democrats take over none of the Republican legislatures, and it would have been none of the governor's office if it wasn't for Corbett. Republicans, meanwhile, have flipped so many, as they explain here. Reigns of Castamere is being played all across the country. Boy, man, you walked into the wrong red wedding here, man. This is horrible. All right, now, more in terms of the consequences of this. Now, if you're a Republican, you might be really psyched. So what are they going to be up to? Okay, let's find out. A day after a big election, newly emboldened Republican state leaders already were making plans Wednesday to pursue deeper tax cuts, relax business regulations, expand private school vouchers, and impose new limits on public welfare programs. Joy! Okay, yes, so if you were poor or you're middle class, you just voted to cut funding for yourself. Yay! But on the upside, at least the rich get tax cuts. So how do you not see that coming? Okay, maybe that's what you wanted. Okay, all the good folks across the country, including Massachusetts, Illinois, Maryland, you all thought, you know what? The problem with this country is that the rich just don't have enough tax cuts. Let's put more Republicans in office. By the way, I know that you don't think that because a very important poll during the election said that 2/3 of Americans said the top problem was that the rich had too much, income inequality and wealth disparity. And what did you do? In response, you put Republicans in office. Well played. Okay. Republican governors or legislative leaders in Maryland, Maine, New York, Texas, and West Virginia also are already talking of tax cuts. Of course! What else would they be talking about? What do you think they ran on? You think they care about all the other stuff? They don't care about any of that. The only thing they care about, 90% of their agenda is tax cuts for the rich. That's what their whole point is. So the day after the election, they're like, oh yeah, whatever we said in our campaign ads about that guy's dangerous, Democrats are the worst, they're with Obama, I'm a good guy, I'm going to take care of you. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Tax cuts for the rich. Let's order it up right away. All right, more detail here. Now we go to Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker. He's got a more specific agenda. You put that gem back into office in Wisconsin. His agenda includes drug tests for people seeking food stamps or unemployment benefits and more tax cuts on top of the $2 billion he enacted during his first term. Because $2 billion in tax cuts for the rich just wasn't enough. Got to give them a little more. And if you're unemployed because of the economic crash that started under Bush, okay? And by the way, the economy has improved under Obama, right? But no. The answer is you're a bum and maybe a druggie, and we need to drug test you. Okay. Hey, be careful what you wish for. You just might get it. If this is what you like, well, then you did the right thing. Yeah, let's crush the unemployed and the poor. They have too many of the advantages. And the poor rich people, man, they don't have enough advantages. Let's give them more. Okay, great. Now we go to David Sirota, who writes in International Business Times to talk about the legislatures, not just the governors. This gets even worse. As the National Conference of State Legislatures reports, Democrats are now at their lowest point in state legislatures in nearly a century. In this week's election, Democrats lost their majorities in legislative chambers in Washington, Colorado, Minnesota, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Mexico, New York, and West Virginia. In all, the NCSL report that there are 67 legislative chambers controlled by the Republicans and just 29 controlled by Democrats. These are enormous numbers. I'll give you one more. Republicans gained seats in every region adding up to 375 seats to their column. That gives GOP more than 4,100 of the 7,383 legislative seats. They added 375 state seats in this election. That's not being talked about enough. Look, at the local level, there's so many important things. They're going to pursue, things that are to get rid of abortion and birth control. By the way, when you kill Planned Parenthood, which most of their bills do, they say, oh, your hallways are too small, your doors are too large, whatever. They make up stuff so they close the Planned Parenthood. That's real, okay? They've passed thousands of those in red states already. They're going to pass even more. So that's coming your direction. You're going to cut welfare. You're going to cut health insurance for people. If in some states where they've already expanded Medicaid under Obamacare, they're thinking, well, now we got a Republican governor. Maybe we roll that back. You had insurance, psych, you don't have it anymore. All this lovely stuff is heading in your direction because what happens on the state level matters a lot, okay? So now how did they do this? Is it just that the people of America hate the middle class and the poor? Or they think, look, I'm being unfair. I'm a progressive perspective, right? They think if we just give just a little bit more tax cuts to corporations and the rich, well, it'll trickle down on us. It'll create jobs. Do they really believe that after all these years? I know because of the polls that they don't actually believe that. So why in the world did they vote for Republicans? Okay. The party's group that finances state legislative races, referring to the Democratic Party, the Democratic Legislative Campaign Committee, raised just $9.3 million. That haul was dwarfed by the nearly $26 million raised by the Republican State Leadership Committee. So the Republicans at the state level, at least through those committees, spent 3 times as much money as the Democrats. Again, people talk about it in abstract. What winds up happening in reality is that money is translated into television ads, radio ads, internet ads that tell people, oh, we're going to deliver for the middle class. We're going to do great things for you. Did they ever mention tax cuts for corporations in any of those ads? Never, never. It's a trick. That's their top priority. But they don't tell you that before the election. And then after the election, surprise, corporate tax cuts, right? But before the election, they say, oh my God, the Democrat is against God. And I'm going to help you and your family. And I love families. I'm all about that. Yeah, of course. That's what the money buys you. That's why people get tricked into voting for them. Oh, the status quo is so bad. How did it get so bad? Income inequality is the number one problem. You say it's the number one problem. Even Republicans say it's the number one problem. Obama. It was Obama. I don't know. I saw it on TV. The ad said, everybody agreed it was Obama. 3 ads said it was Obama. Only 1 ad said it was the Republicans. So I guess it was Obama. All right, finally, talk about Democratic incompetence in their priorities. Get a load of this. To put the DLCC's fundraising total into context, consider Kentucky's election. Democratic candidate Allison Lundergan Grimes raised almost double the amount of money for her single unsuccessful U.S. Senate bid than the National Party apparatus raised for its campaign for more than 6,000 legislative seats. So they put more money into the losing campaign of Grimes, who pretended she wasn't a Democrat in Kentucky. She said she wasn't even going to tell us if she voted for Obama. That loser. They put more money into her campaign, and she lost by, about 15 points or something, than they put in all of the state races at the local level. What a terrible, terrible idea. They have more, the Republicans have more money, and the Democrats are so wildly incompetent that that's why you have the record-breaking Republican legislators and governors that you have now. Now, I don't know if there'll ever come a point when the results of those governors are so horrific that people will finally stop listening to the ads and go, wait a minute, who am I going to believe? All these millions of dollars in ads or my lying eyes? Look at what happened in Kansas. They reelected Brownback even though his cuts led to gigantic deficits. They can't even fund education in Kansas anymore. He said that they wouldn't have any deficits. They had massive deficits. He said they'd create more jobs. They had less jobs. They did far worse than the average state did. And except the rich of Kansas got great tax cuts. So Brownback almost lost. But he had enough money at the end. A lot of dark money flowed into Kansas at the end. Gee, I wonder who that might be from. Perhaps the Koch brothers from Kansas. Not perhaps, I know, we did a story on it earlier. Koch brothers pour in the money. People go, I don't know, Brownback, yeah, deregulation, this sounds great. I'm conservative, Bible, God, yes, Brownback, check. Oh, shit. there goes my job.